Welcome to Inside Steelers Nation on SNR. I'm Randy Slack with Dale Lolley in the Wednesday edition of the show. Coming up a little bit later, we will hear from Merrill Hodge and also a special edition of the Steelers Power Hour from the DV Morning Show that features Stan Savran, Jerry Dulac, Mike Pursuta, and the guys you hear each and every morning on the Steelers flagship 102.5 DVE. But some news came out today. You know, Dale, I was wondering, I was racking my brain a little bit thinking, what the heck are we going to talk about on the Wednesday show? Maybe something could happen, and as the Steelers have done all year long, they've given us topics, and they will not renew the contract of offensive coordinator Todd Haley. Is that the correct way? Is that the correct verbiage there?
That's the correct verbiage. It's technically what it means is they fired him.
Right.
After 6 seasons, they decided not to renew the contract. They decided to part ways. They decided to fire him. You can parse it however you want to do it. What it comes down to is that they decided, and they being Mike Tomlin, decided that the relationship between Todd Haley and Ben Roethlisberger was not one that could continue, and for the team to be successful. When you look at it, to me, Todd Haley did everything that he was asked to do when he came here, when he was hired. He was given the mandate to protect Ben Roethlisberger. He was given the mandate to keep him upright, make sure you extend his career. I think had we been doing Steelers Nation Radio in 2009, and somebody would have asked us, is Ben Roethlisberger going to play beyond the age of 35?
Yeah.
I think we would have said at that time, no. Between the years of 2006 through 2009, he was sacked 184 times.
Wow.
184 times. In the last 6 years under Haley, I think that's 161. That's 6 years as opposed to 3. I'm sorry, 4. There are 4 years in there. But still, he was sacked more in that 4-year period than he has been in the 6 years under Haley. And each of the last 3 seasons are the 3 lowest amount of times he's been sacked in his career. Now, you can look at a bunch of different factors in that. They invested in the offensive line.
Yep.
They brought in Mike Munchak as the offensive line coach, but they also changed the offense and convinced Roethlisberger to get rid of the ball more quickly. Don't try all the deep shots. Do these things to extend your career. So as much as Ben Roethlisberger might have not liked the way that Todd Haley coached him, and he may have butted heads with him. And he said earlier this week that he's butted heads with every coach, every offensive coordinator that he's had. What's the common denominator there? It's Ben Roethlisberger.
It's kind of like how Taylor Swift has a lot of boyfriends.
Yeah.
Eventually you got to think about,
you next in line, or is it me?
What's
I'm not
she
sure.
doing? I think it's Tom, our producer.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations, Tom.
Great. Yeah, you're up next. You got next. But he's a guy. He's strong-willed.
Yeah.
And he wants to do things his way, and I get it. I mean, he's a very talented player. He's a great player. But I think when he reflects on this, he's going to, and he talked earlier this week about going in and sitting down and talking with Todd Haley, and I think they both kind of knew.
Yeah.
And I think when Roethlisberger came out with a statement, or when he started telling his teammates that he wanted to play 3 more years, well, the Steelers signed their coordinators to 3-year contracts. Coincidence?
I'm sure Ben had no idea that they signed their offensive or their coordinators to 3-year deals.
No, I had no clue.
I mean, he's pretty new to the team. He's only been here since, 2004?
Yeah.
So no idea.
So, I think there may have been some subtle things there. And he's not been opposed to taking some, passive-aggressive shots at Haley and those kind of things.
Sure.
But I think Mike Tomlin just looked at it and said, for the long-term health of the team, even though the offense was not the issue this year, we have to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And so Haley's not going to be here. They're gonna move on from him. But again, I think if Roethlisberger sits down, 5-10 years from now when he's done playing and looks back on this, I think he's going to reflect, and say, what, Todd Haley extended my career. Yes, they were winning some Super Bowls under Bruce Arians, but he was getting killed.
Right.
They were going to Super Bowls and all that stuff, but he was not going to be able to continue to play at that pace, at that rate, getting hit like that into his age 35, 36, 37, 38, which he's now talking about playing at those ages. So, I think they worked well together, whether they liked it or not.
Right. And look, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, when Todd Haley came in, they were 21st in yards, 22nd in points. Then they were 20th and 16th. And then by 14, they were 2nd in yards, 7th in points, top 5 in both of those categories in 15, top 10 in 16, top 10 in 17. An elite offense in the NFL. A lot of that, I don't. It's really interesting. It's not just this is a Todd Haley thing as much as it is a coaching versus player talent thing. There are a lot of talented guys on that offense, and it's hard to kind of equate how much is what the offensive coordinator does, and how much is it the fact that you have a Hall of Fame level quarterback, the best receiver in the league, the best running back in the league, one of the best offensive lines in the league. That has to count for something too.
Well, I'll also say this about that. Antonio Brown wasn't the best receiver in the league before Todd Haley came on. They drafted Le'Veon Bell on Haley's watch. They've acquired some of these offensive linemen under Haley, Villanueva, the Chris Hubbards of the world, that kind of thing. Marcus Gilbert blossomed into a really good offensive. So I mean, you can look at it a lot of different ways.
Sure.
How much of this is attributable to Haley? I think a good portion of it. For Steeler fans, to me, I think it's kind of like be careful what you wish for. Maybe this will work out. Maybe they'll be better off down the road for it. We'll see here. Maybe it was just an untenable relationship that couldn't go on anymore. But I think overall, when you look at the offense, this is the last 4 years they've ranked in the top 10 in the league in offense in both scoring, points scored, and yardage.
Yes.
In each of the last 4 years. They haven't done that since the 70s. Think about that.
Wow.
They haven't had a stretch like that since the 70s, including they hadn't done this earlier in Roethlisberger's career. So as much as you want to point to, well, they did this, they did that, it didn't take off until Haley got here.
Right.
So better, worse, whatever it is, I think there's something to be said there. So to me, if I'm looking for his replacement, I'm not blowing this thing up. I'm probably looking in-house, and I want somebody who's going to continue to do what they've been doing without maybe the tension involved.
Yeah. I think you either have to look in-house, or maybe if you are looking outside, it has to be somebody with a kind of similar mindset to what you've already been doing.
And here's the problem. Here's the problem with bringing in somebody from the outside, Randy. They're going to want to change some verbiage. They're going to want to change some of those kind of things, and that often takes some time to learn, some time to adjust to. And I don't know with a quarterback who's 35 years old is going to be 36 next year that you want to do that. They're already largely limiting Roethlisberger's involvement in the offseason and at training camp.
Yeah.
So if you bring somebody else in, you're going to need him to get as many reps as possible to learn that new offense, to do the things, those kind of things. So to me, I think the natural move is just to hire somebody that's on staff, and quite frankly, there are only really two guys on staff who are capable, unless you bring in somebody else who's been on staff before. But to me, it's Randy Fichtner or Mike Munchak.
We're going to talk about those two guys and a little bit more because big news day, and to your point, be careful what you wish for. We'll see what happens as the offseason goes and as we head to the 2018 season, even though the 2017 season really isn't over yet. More to come on Inside Steelers Nation on SNR.